Another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Around Our Area continues now on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Your reader for this hour is Sally Herzog. We go to the Southtowns Bee, and this is the West Seneca, Orchard Park, and East Aurora newspapers. It's the Thursday, March 19th, 2026 edition. Go on to our first article. Heart of Music Festival approved to return. Board reduces proposed ending time. This is by Justin Sullivan. Right before the Village of East Aurora unanimously approved the return of the Heart of Music Festival during its March 16th meeting, the board amended the festival's temporary use permit to lower the festival's end time. The Heart of Music Festival was approved to return on June 13th, beginning at 1 p.m. and concluding at 10 p.m. at the Classic Rink and 9 p.m. at all other participating venues. Under the approved permit, the rink will need to close no later than 11 p.m. According to the permit application, this year's festival will cap at 8,000 tickets. Trustee Steve Laziticus proposed the amendment, citing the request of representatives from the ice rink, the festival's main and largest venue. Back in January, Village Board was more open to letting the festival increase its maximum capacity, rather than allowing it to go later. Founder and organizer of the Heart of the Music Festival, Christopher Welsh, initially sought to conclude the evening at midnight, which the board previously shot down. Last year's inaugural event raised more than $40,000 for several local nonprofits, including East Aurora Parkdale PTO, Fish of East Aurora, and Danny's Helping Hands. Despite previous hesitation, the village board applauded last year's event, which also served as an unofficial test for whether the board would consider establishing an open container law. The festival's predecessor, the popular East Aurora Music Festival, became known for excessive crowds and increased alcohol-related incidents. Welsh, a local real estate agent, added several additional security measures to lessen the village officials' worries, including increased security and mutual aid, more spread-out venues, and limited ticket sales. This year's permit application says that this year's event will again have additional security guards. Organizers are also working with a local Boy Scout troop to ensure containers get recycled. The temporary use permit's approval is dependent on proof of liability insurance. The village's board next meeting is on April 6th. For more information on the Heart of the Music Festival, visit www.heartofmusicfestival.com. The verdict is in. Orchard Park's Mock Trial Club isn't just for lawyers. And this is by Eric Kepler. Orchard Park High School had a wide variety of extracurricular activities from which to choose if a student wants to become involved in something beyond coursework. Athletics, musicals, and foreign language clubs are all great options that take a lot of time and effort and yield satisfying results. But it's a rare breed of student that wants to take on the challenge of joining the school's mock trial club. It's really a team, not a club, said moderator Gary Janis, who teaches history at the high school. The time commitment is the hardest part. It's like 12 to 20 hours each week after school. So you get the kids who really want to do this. They're really committed. While they're all willing to put in the time, the students come from a variety of different backgrounds and ultimately may have different career paths. I came into high school knowing I wanted to do mock trial. I knew I wanted to do something in law, and now I know I'm going to college for law, said junior Kendall Finbar, who plans to study business law at Nazareth University and play lacrosse. but not everyone who joins the team is necessarily headed for a career in law. Originally, I wasn't very interested in this, but one of my friends got me to come and try it out and see how it was, said senior Rory Roberts, who wants to become a teacher. I found it really interesting to do court cases, so I stuck with it, and I'm really competitive. I want to make sure we win. And even if the participants ultimately opt not to go into law as a career, they still learn many life skills that translate into almost any other field. It's taught me a lot about public speaking, said Senior Club President Hannah Mackin, who will be studying engineering at the University of Buffalo in the fall. As an attorney, I have to be cool-headed and be able to think on my feet, so it has really helped me to be able to quickly pivot. I feel like I'll be able to take on bigger challenges now when I go to college. The New York State High School Mock Trial Program is a joint venture of the New York Bar Foundation, the New York State Bar Association, and the Law, Youth, and Citizenship Program. In this educational program, high school students gain first-hand knowledge of civil and criminal law and courtroom procedures. Thousands of students participate each year. There are 36 schools that compete in Western New York, and every school gets a different trial pack at the start of the school year. On Saturday mornings, the teams go to either the Buffalo or the Erie County Courthouse and spend about 3 hours to make their case. If a team wins at least one of its 2 preliminary trials, it advances to a playoff bracket tournament that begins each January. The Orchard Park squad has advanced all the way to the finals and will square off against Nichols on Saturday, with the winner moving on to regional competition. It would be amazing to win, said Finbar. We haven't made it this far in many years now. This is the farthest I've been. There are teams of 3 attorneys and 3 witnesses, each for the prosecutors and the defense. The current case involves the theft of used cooking oil, which has been a growing problem in recent years. The students study the affidavits and learn by the people in the case. Each side presents, and then it's up to the judge, not just for the verdict, but for the team's performance. Every trial is written in a way so that either side could win, Janice said. It's very vague, and it's scored not on the innocent or guilty verdict, but on your performance. So you could actually lose the trial, but win on points. Janice also noted the contributions of Orchard Park Town Justice Charles Messina, who has volunteered a number of unpaid hours each week to help the students. It all adds up to an experience the students aren't going to forget. I really like the adrenaline rush. It can be really nerve-wracking. Yes, it's time-consuming, but I really like putting everything together, said Mackin. We have a really good group of kids this year. Everyone is super determined, and we're all really hard workers, and I think it pays off. We're going the extra mile to make sure that we win. Teen of the Week. This is sponsored by Erie One Bosse's on Harlem Road in West Seneca. Ryla Moreland, a senior at Cleveland Hill High School, is this week's B Group Newspapers Teen of the Week. Myla has been described as a student with a remarkable fusion of academic distinction, drive, motivation, tenacity, and enthusiasm. After maintaining a spot on the high school honor roll all 4 years of high school and completing 8 AP courses, Myla has earned a cumulative GPA of 101.25. Her achievement includes being named the John R. O'Shea Scholar in band, math, World Language and College Board School Recognition Award. She has also received the Rise and Grind Student of the Month Award and joined the National Honor Society in her senior year. Throughout high school, Mila has been involved in several extracurricular activities. She is a highly engaged volunteer and acted as an ex officio student board member. Since last year, she has served as the official student representative to the Board of Education, providing a student perspective on district initiatives and policies. She then communicates board decisions to the student body and collaborates with administrators and community stakeholders to support district goals. Mila has played on the varsity basketball team all 4 years of high school and joined the track and field team in her junior year. Outside of school, she's a Taekwondo instructor with a third degree black belt, having trained since she was 6 years old. Mila is now a mentor for students ranging from preschool to adulthood. She has been a member of the school jazz band and community music school jazz band since 2022, serving as section leader in her junior year and a band vice president in her senior year. In addition to the jazz band, Mila is also the student council treasurer, an active member of the Change Club, and a Buffalo Prep Scholar. Last summer, she worked as a teaching assistant for the program. Her duties included supporting middle school scholars in their academic growth during summer programs and assisting in lessons and collaborating learning activities. Mila volunteers at her church on the AV team and has helped organize Master Chung's Taekwondo Kicking for Miracles for the last 3 years. Additionally, she's assisted with packing food boxes for Feedmore, Western New York, and cleaning facilities for campers in Cradle Beach Camp in 2023. I'm very driven to reach my goals, and while I do, I make sure to balance and still have fun. I really want to attain my goals and to try to prioritize my future, said Mila. After graduation, she plans to pursue a degree in communications with a focus on sports medic, ethical reporting, and impactful storytelling to become a sports journalist. B Newspapers, in conjunction with sponsors, will showcase exceptional seniors in 9 of our communities as Teen of the Week. The highlighted student will be conscientious, hardworking, and self-motivated individuals who continue to better their communities. These students exceed expectations and are enthusiastic learners. One student will be awarded a scholarship at the end of the 2025-26 school year. Half-baked cookies to open in Orchard Park. Cookie lovers will soon have a new spot to satisfy their sweet tooth as Half-Baked Cookies prepares to open its 4th Western New York storefront in Orchard Park later this month. The popular local bakery will celebrate the grand opening of its new shop at 3455 Amelia Drive at 11 a.m. on March 21st, bringing its rotating menu of fresh baked cookies to the Southtowns. Founded in 2021 in Lockport by owner Angela Snediker, Half-Baked Cookies has grown from a single storefront into a regional favorite, known for its large cookies and gooey centers. Snediker said opening in Orchard Park holds special meaning because many customers there supported the business long before it expanded. A lot of our Orchard Park customers have been supporting us since the very beginning, when I was baking cookies in my kitchen 7 years ago, Snediker said. Opening here feels really meaningful because this community helped us grow. At the Orchard Park location, customers can expect classic favorites such as chocolate chip and sea salt caramel, along with specialty flavors like brownie, stuffed lemon cheesecake, and Lucky Charms inspired cookies. Seasonal creations will also be featured throughout the year. The shop will also offer cookies, cakes, and catering options for parties and special events. Early visitors will have a chance to take home a few extra perks. The first 50 customers will receive a free cookie, and the first 20 customers who spend more than $50 will receive a bag filled with a t-shirt, stickers, and other merchandise. Spindle News. This is by Eric Kepler. Congrats go to West Seneca East science teacher Anna Scretny was among the more than 170 high-performing New York teachers and counselors chosen for this year's New York State Master Teacher Program. This initiative supports educators who mentor early career teachers and counselors while helping students pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Scretny has been teaching since 2020 with experience also teaching neuroscience and environmental science. Thanks for all you do. Training. Free Basic Community Emergency Response Team, or CERD training, will be held from 6:30 until 9:30 p.m. for 8 consecutive Tuesdays from April 7th through May 26th at the Springbrook Fire District, 70 Pound Road in Elma. Instructions will include basic first aid and triage during mass incidents, how to shut off basic utilities, use a fire extinguisher, understand light search and rescue, and understand disaster psychology. Understand how to better support first responders in your own community during incidents. Learn various first responder discipline from experienced instructors. Get a little closer to the first responder community, and no experience is required. Register for the spring session by emailing Elma Cert Inc. So that's ELMACERTINC @gmail.com. Extinguished. New York State's annual burn ban is now underway through May 14th to help reduce the risk of wildfires during the dry spring season. The ban prohibits burning leaves, brush, or yard waste, burning wood piles for disposal, burning paper or cardboard, burning construction debris, any uncontained outdoor fires, small cooking fires, fire pits with proper fire guards, charcoal grills, and propane or gas grills are still permitted. Always have water or a fire extinguisher nearby when using any permitted fire source. The ban exists to protect air quality, reduce risk of wildfires, and ensure public health during peak dry conditions in spring. Sportsman's Banquet. The Erie County Federation of Sportsmen's Clubs will host their annual award and installation banquet at 5 p.m. on Saturday, March 21st at Clark's Grove. The annual banquet brings together sportsmen, women, conservation advocates, and community partners to celebrate achievements, recognize outstanding contributions, and support the Federation's ongoing mission of conservation through education. April is National Donate Life Month. Every day in New York, someone is waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. For thousands of families, hope depends on the generosity of someone willing to give the gift of life. Each April, my office proudly joins Donate Life New York State in recognizing National Donate Life Month, a time to raise awareness about the life-saving impact of organ, eye, and tissue donation, and to honor the donors who generously have helped save countless lives. Many people don't realize that one of the easiest places to become an organ donor is right at their local DMV. When Erie County residents visit the Auto Bureau to renew their driver's license, obtain a permit, or register a vehicle, they have the opportunity to enroll in New York State Donate Life Registry. By simply checking yes, motorists can help save and heal the lives of thousands of New Yorkers in need of transplants. The impact of that simple decision is profound. Just one organ donor can save up to 8 lives through the donation of heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and intestines. In addition, tissue and eye donors can improve the lives of more than 75 people by restoring eyesight, helping burn victims heal, and preventing mobility loss or disability. Today, nearly 8,000 New Yorkers are waiting for a life-saving organ transplant, including close to 800 individuals right here in Western New York. Beyond that, many more people depend on tissue and eye donations that can dramatically improve their quality of life. Meeting this critical need is made possible in part through the important work of the Erie County Auto Bureau. Since 2017, more than 225,000 Erie County motorists have enrolled in the Donate Life Registry through our local Auto Bureau offices. Erie County continues to exceed the statewide average, with 66% of eligible customers choosing to register, compared to 52.9% statewide. These impressive numbers reflect the compassion of our community and the dedication of the staff of the Erie County Auto Bureau. Much thanks needs to be given to our Auto Bureau employees for their continued efforts to educate customers about the importance of organ, eye, and tissue donations. Through our partnership with Connect Life and Donate Life New York State, we have made meaningful progress increasingly register enrollment across Erie County, but we must continue building on this momentum so that together we can save even more lives. I encourage all motorists age 16 and older to consider enrolling in the New York State Donate Life Registry the next time they visit an Erie County Auto Bureau office. No one is too old or too sick to register. Simply check yes and sign the owner donation consent when applying for or renewing your driver's license, non-driver ID, or registering a vehicle in person for the first time. When you do, a heart symbol and the words organ donor will appear on the front of your license or identification card at no additional cost. So the next time someone asks, "Do you have a heart?" you can proudly answer, "Yes." According to Connect Life, about 80% of registered organ donors enroll through their local DMV when applying for or renewing a driver's license, learner's permit, or non-driver ID. To learn more about organ, eye, tissue, and blood donation, or to enroll in the registry, contact Connect Life at 716-529-4300 or visit donatelife.ny.gov. Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper launches $1.6 million grant program. Nonprofit Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper is rolling out a $1.6 million grant program to help Western New York communities tackle environmental restoration projects across the Niagara River and Lake Erie watershed. Funded by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency through the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, the Western New York Great Lakes Restoration Grant Program will support projects ranging from $25,000 to $500,000 focused on invasive species, habitat restoration, and non-point source pollution. Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper will lead the effort, partnering with the Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo, Erie County, and Lake Erie Watershed Protection Alliance to distribute funding and guide stewardship across the region. Eligible applicants include nonprofits, tribal and municipal governments, quasi-municipal entities, and educational institutions, with all projects required to be located within the Niagara River Lake Erie watershed. A full request for proposals is now available, and applicants must first submit a required letter of intent by April 17th at 3 p.m. An informational webinar is scheduled for March 26th at 11 a.m. via Zoom. Program leaders say the initiative is designed to empower local communities to address water quality challenges and strengthen ecosystems with solutions driven at the grassroots level. For more information on the program, visit bnwaterkeeper.org/grant program. HOCO announces the start of Shays expansion, awards addition $5 million. Governor Kathy Hochul announced the start of construction on the $34.6 million expansion of Shays Buffalo Theater, alongside an additional $5 million in state capital funding, marking a major investment in one of Western New York's most iconic cultural venues. Fueled by an $18.5 million state investment, the project will add a four-story, 26,600 square foot expansion along the historic theater's south side on Pearl Street. The addition will include a new box office, expanded lobby and event space, concessions on each level, additional restrooms, and accessibility upgrades, including 3 new elevators. Shays is the cornerstone of downtown Buffalo and the theater district, Hochul said. By investing in this iconic venue, we're investing in the future of Buffalo's cultural and economic vitality. The project coincides with Shays' 100th anniversary and is designed to modernize the theater experience while preserving its historic character. Plans call for a tiered structure featuring limestone, stainless steel, and glass, along with interior upgrades such as terrazzo flooring, lounge seating, and a new bar. Additional improvements include a drop-off loop, heated pedestrian pathway, and an outdoor patio. Shays Performing Arts Center President and CEO Brian Higgins said the expansion will help the venue evolve while maintaining its legacy as a cultural and economic driver for downtown Buffalo. Construction is expected to continue through 2027, with performances scheduled to proceed throughout the project. The state's $18.5 million contribution includes $7.5 million from the New York Power Authority, $5 million from the New York State Council on the Arts, $5 million through the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, and $1 million from Empire State Development. Additional investments include a previously completed $5 million renovation of Shays 710 Theater and a $4.6 million commitment from the City of Buffalo for roof replacement at the main theater. Opened in 1926 and listed on the National Register of Historic Places, Shays is one of the few remaining theaters designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany. Today, the 3-theater campus welcomes more than 350,000 patrons annually and hosts touring, Broadway productions, concerts, educational programming, and community events. Before we move to our next paper, we'd like to tell you you're listening to Around Our Area on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And we move to the Hamburg Sun, and this is the Friday, March 20th, 2026 edition. Go to our first article, Traffic Concerns Raised for Proposed Gas Station, Restaurant, Development at Victory Road and Southwestern Boulevard. This is by Chris Graham. Traffic concerns in the area of Victory Road and Southwestern Boulevard and the increased traffic for stadium events at New Highland Stadium were the main talking points from neighbor residents about a proposed gas station, convenience store, and restaurant development that is planned for the intersection. Bria Development LLC is looking to develop a Circle K gas station and convenience store, a Dunkin' Donuts, a Jimmy John's, a Buffalo Wild Wings, and a one yet-to-be-named restaurant on a 4.14-acre parcel at Victory Road and Southwestern Boulevard. Two of the restaurants would have drive-thrus, with each having 10 stacking spaces. The development would also include 43 parking spaces, along with 14 spots for vehicles to fuel up with gas. The gas station would be as far away as possible from the nearest residential area, which is Burke Parkway. The project has been discussed since December at the Town of Hamburg Planning Board, but moved to the Hamburg Town Board for a public hearing, as the developer is seeking a zoning change from C1, Local Retail Business District, to C2, General Commercial District, and a negative State Environmental Quality Review Act declaration, saying the site will offer no adverse impacts on the environment. During the Bills games, they do turn that light off at the intersection, so it's a blinking light, so you cannot get across Southwestern from Victory, said Laura Podkulski, a resident of McKinley Parkway, who said there is a ton of traffic in that area when there's a Bills game. Traffic is getting really bad right there. Traffic was discussed at the planning board level. Planning board members felt that the proximity to New Highmark Stadium should not impede development in this area. There will be times, at least 8 times a year, where traffic will be busy there, especially on a Sunday. That, by itself, should not be a basis for decision-making, said Sean Hopkins, an attorney representing Bria Development LLC. If indeed there's a need for regulate that in some way, shape, or form, we'll do that. Town of Hamburg Police Chief Peter Deans said if the project does move forward, he would have a patrol car monitor traffic flow during the first few Bills games and assist when needed. Kevin Horan, a resident of Victory Road, said he is the closest home to the entrance onto Victory Road and is also worried about additional traffic. How many cars are anticipated to be driving around my house compared to what we have now? Horan said. A trip generation analysis from the Institute of Transportation Engineers said in the peak period of the morning there would be a projected 213 vehicles stopping at or passing by the site, and 197 for the evening peak. The project is looking to receive a curb cut onto Southwestern Boulevard. The developer has been in talks with the New York State Department of Transportation about the curb cut, and DOT has been receptive to the request, according to Hopkins. James Tellerico, Senior Vice President of Restaurant and Retail Development for Bria Development LLC, said the plan is to have a full turn on Victory Road and a right in and right out on Southwestern Boulevard. The board will now decide when to take a vote on the zoning change and SEQR designation. If the development receives town board approval, the applicant will return to the planning board for the site plan approval and a special use permit for the fueling facility. Village of Blaisdell 2026-27 budget sees a 1% tax increase. This also is by Chris Graham. Village of Blaisdell residents are expected to see a slight tax increase as part of the proposed $2.7 million spending plan for 2026 and 27. It's a 1% tax increase, Village Mayor Rob Hefner said. Village Clerk Treasurer Joel Petrozewski, who outlined the budget during a hearing on March 11th, said residents are expected to see a projected tax rate of $22.82 per thousand of assessed valuation for 2026 and 27. Hefner said the proposed spending plan is in line with the current year's budget. Not much change from year to year, he said. The mayor called the budget bare bones and added the spending plan was constructed to handle the operations the village needs to do in order to run properly. There were no residents in attendance and no one spoke during the hearing. Formal adoption of the budget is expected to happen during the board's meeting on Wednesday, March 18th. It will then go into effect on Wednesday, July 1st. Hefner, who will be entering the final year of his term as mayor, said looking ahead to 2027, there will be some debt service coming off the books, which will benefit when it comes time to prepare next year's budget. That will be the final budget prepared during his time as mayor, and as he will be finishing his second term and cannot seek a third term as mayor. The town of Hamburg set to apply for TAP grant for multimodal revitalization project near Highmark Stadium. This also is by Chris Graham. The town of Hamburg will be applying for a transportation alternative program grant to make infrastructure improvements in the town near new Highmark Stadium. The Buffalo Bill Stadium Economic and Multimodal Corridor Revitalization Project will look to construct multimodal enhancements in the corridor adjacent to new Highmark Stadium. Town leaders also said this project will serve as a catalyst for the redevelopment of the ECC South and McKinley Mall properties. The TAP grant, which is offered by New York State Department of Transportation, has $97.4 million in new funding available for the development of community-centered transportation systems that will connect communities, enhance the quality of life, protect the environment, and support the economic well-being of the state. The award for a single project can be anywhere from $500,000 to $7 billion. The DOC will provide up to 80% of the total eligible project costs, with a minimum 20% match provided by the town. The 20% match for the town would be $956,100 from the general fund. After a resolution was passed by the Hamburg Town Board on March 9th to pursue the grant, the town has tasked EECG Consulting with submitting the grant application to the DOT. New ambulance coming to Angola Volunteer Fire Department. This also is by Chris Graham. A new ambulance will become part of the fleet for the Angola Volunteer Fire Department after the Angola Village Board agreed to move forward with helping to purchase it. Members of the fire department initially made the request to the board earlier this year due to the age of the current ambulance. As a result, the board majority agreed to the issuance of $360,000 in serial bonds to pay for it. The resolution on March 9th passed by a 4-to-1 vote, with Trustee William Ludwig casting the lone dissenting vote. Trustee Valerie Stanish voted in favor of the ambulance, but added that she would like to see the board start to focus on other departments, included the Department of Public Works. As she said, the board has approved a lot of projects related to the fire department in recent years. Village Mayor Thomas Whalen disagreed with that sentiment, believing the board spreads money all around. We take care of all our departments, Whalen said. There is no timetable as to when the new ambulance will be in service. In another matter, the board scheduled a public hearing for 5:35 p.m. on Monday, April 13th, on the tentative 2026-27 budget. The proposed spending plan includes an amount just under $1.8 million in the general fund and about $1.2 million for the water fund. This also includes a proposed tax increase from $8.09 per thousand of assessed valuation to $8.75 per thousand of assessed valuation. Tranquil Waters Counseling expands Hamburg practice to offer more mental health assistance. Tranquil Waters Counseling, which has been in the town of Hamburg for 9 years, has expanded to a larger space at 4535 Southwestern Boulevard, Suite number 807, offering more mental health services for those in need. Sherry Dietz, owner and founder of Tranquil Waters Counseling, has been a therapist for 25 years. She started out at a smaller office in a Southwestern Boulevard business park, slowly building out her staff and getting referrals. It's just blossomed into what it is today, Dietz said. The expanded office opened in August, with Dietz adding 8 full-time clinicians to raise the staff to 18. The team at the office utilizes evidence-based treatments, including cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, SEMA-focused therapy, and motivational interviewing. Telehealth services are also available. Tranquil Waters Counseling also has a location in the town of Amherst. We have a humongous niche of people that work here, Dietz said. I have people with so much knowledge, such different and vast backgrounds. Anything that somebody is dealing with, we have somebody that knows how to do that. Dietz said she saw an enormous jump in individuals looking for mental health services and counseling once the COVID-19 pandemic took hold. That's when I started hiring most of my people from 2020 to 2023, because there was such an influx of people that needed or wanted therapy, Dietz said. The stigma was a little bit reduced. Offering an abundance of services, Dietz said they'll see individuals, young and old, coming in for therapy. She added that most people will come to therapy because they want help. We meet them where they are, Dietz said. Walking through that door is the hardest step that they've ever taken with regard to their mental health. It's not a punishment to come here. You're actually helping yourself. Sometimes you don't see that the first couple of sessions because it's a scary walk through that door. You're starting a journey that's different and uncomfortable, but we make you feel at peace and comfortable. For more information on Tranquil Waters Counseling, visit tranquilwaterswny.com. AP Biology students at Frontier High School working with the University of Washington researcher in an experiment with brewers and bakers yeast. Advanced placement biology students at Frontier High School have taken on roles as genuine researchers, working in collaboration with Dr. Maitreya Dunham, professor and chair of genome sciences at the University of Washington. Students are running an experiment and collecting data as they attempt to experimentally evolve the fungus Saccharomyces cerevisiae, better known as brewer's yeast or baker's yeast, in an attempt to improve its ability to form biofilms. Biofilms are essentially structured communities of microbes that typically attach to a surface and where the cells adhere together. They're super common in everyday life and things most people are familiar with: dental plaque, cheese rinds, the slimy coating on rocks near a creek, etc., said Dr. Michael Delmont, biology teacher at Frontier. When microbes form biofilms along with sticking to each other and the surface, they also create a slimy surface, an extracellular matrix that helps protect the cells. This can increase their resistance to various stressors, including, in the case of yeast, antifungal drugs. Samples will then be sent back to the lab for DNA sequencing in an attempt to identify the mutations and genes that allowed for improved biofilm formation. This experiment will hopefully help us to better understand how yeast evolves this adherence and these protective properties, Delmont said. This is authentic research that, depending on results, have the potential to be published in a professional scientific journal. This is Delmont's second year working with this lab. Last year, his AP biology students worked on a different experiment, experimentally evolving yeast to be resistant to the antifungal caspofungin. There were some interesting mutations that we found to cause this resistance, and the lab is currently finishing analyzing the data we sent them at the end of last year, Delmont said. Dvorsky highlights Frontier music program in visit to Albany. Frontier High School junior Drew Dvorsky represented the Frontier High School district at the New York State Capitol in Albany on March 9th, performing with an all-state jazz ensemble as part of the 53rd annual Joseph R. Sugar New York State School Musical Association Day in Albany. While at the Capitol, he also had the opportunity to meet with State Senator Patrick Gallivan and Assemblyman John Rivera to discuss his experience in music education and the importance of expanding access to music programs for students across New York State. Dvorsky is a student of Todd Macomb and Rich Reginer. Hamburg Town Board reviewing if PUD needs to be adjusted for Gateway Building revitalization. Developer is now planning more hotel space than before. This is by Chris Graham. For the first time since the summer, Town of Hamburg officials last week heard a plan for the transformation of the Gateway Building site, with the developer now presenting a plan that would include more hotel space than before. The question now for the Hamburg Town Board is if an adjustment needs to be made to the planned unit development rezoning approval the board passed in December of 2024. The original PUD was set to use the 25.50 acre site at 3556 Lakeshore Road for no more than 16 condominium buildings, the reuse of the existing Gateway building, to include restaurants, condominium space, hotel space for 46 to 65 rooms, and continuing the use of office space and existing daycare. Also included was maintaining existing green space while having landscape buffers and medians. Now the developer is looking to have 14 condominium buildings. Out of the 14, 8 would be 5-story, 40-unit hotels for 320 rooms. The other 6 buildings would be 5-story, 12-unit condo buildings with covered parking for a total of 72 units. Within the Gateway building, there would be 102 hotel rooms, the continuance of the office space, 1 restaurant, and the daycare site. After doing the market analysis, what it showed was a massive shortage of hotel rooms in Buffalo, said Andrew Zanide, a commercial broker developing the plan for the revitalized Gateway Building site, who added the site could become the second largest hotel in the area. I want to give Hamburg a moniker, something it can boast and attract. Zanides doesn't believe the revised plan changes the PUD that was approved. Josh Rogers, a planning consultant for Wendell, said the new suggestion from the developer doesn't add any uses that weren't already in the original PUD. The density clearly has changed. The number of buildings is a reduction of what was originally approved, Rogers said. If I were to give a recommendation, I could see the argument for not needing to amend the PUD. What I would recommend is that there be a specific condition within the site plan approval, and that communication of the site plan be very specific, well thought out, and well explained during the site plan approval stage at the planning board. The decision as to whether the PUD is amended would fall to the town board. The Gateway building was sold for $4 million to 3556 Lakeshore Boulevard Development, LLC, in February of 2025. Then, in the summer of 2025, representatives of the developer began presenting the site plan application to the Town of Hamburg Planning Board, based on the approved PUD. The project was then taken off the planning board's docket indefinitely as the developer reworked the idea into what was presented last week. I think that with the Gateway building will bring many people to the waterfront, which is the whole idea, Zanide said. If the town board decides a PUD amendment is needed, the developer would start the rezoning process over again. They would submit a new rezoning application and a new site plan. Another public hearing would be held, along with sending the rezoning application to Erie County for comments. We would treat that like a new rezoning application that the town would then have to approve, Rogers said. Zanide stated he would not want to go through the rezoning process all over again. If the town board decides a PUD amendment is not needed, the developer would return to the planning board, but a new site plan would be needed, since the site plan has changed. This would also include a public hearing. Rogers is expected to discuss the PUD options with the town board further during the board's work session on Monday, March 23rd. A decision on whether the PUD needs to be amended or not could be made by April or May. Gallivan expresses concern over New York State Senate's one-house budget proposal. State Senator Patrick Gallivan is expressing concern over the New York State Senate's one-house budget proposal released last week by the Senate Majority Conference. Plans submitted by the Senate and Assembly counter the budget proposals submitted earlier this year by the governor and are part of the ongoing negotiations in Albany. The Senate proposals total $269.8 billion, compared to Governor Kathy Hochul's $262.7 billion plan. It raises taxes on some New Yorkers and increases the statewide corporate tax rate on some businesses. I am concerned about the significant increase in the proposed tax and spending, as well as the absence of significant policy proposals to address rising utility bills and make New York more affordable, Gallivan said. I urge my colleagues to work together to negotiate a final budget that works for all of New Yorkers and begins to solve some of the challenges our residents, businesses, and communities face. The Senate proposal also advances a number of policy actions to facilitate energy mandates outlined in the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. A recent memo from the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority says the mandates could increase gasoline prices by as much as $2.23 per gallon and raise annual utility bills by up to $4,100 for New York residents. Gallivan and members of the state minority conference have called on the legislature to repeal the mandates and develop an energy plan that is attainable and more affordable. The legislation is working under a Wednesday, April 1st deadline to adopt a new state budget. You've been listening to Around Our Area, a weekly look at community newspapers from around Western New York. Your reader for this hour has been Sally Herzog. Thank you so much for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the Ampol Eagle. At 4 o'clock, we have the Grand Island Niagara County Tribune Sentinel. And following that, at 5 o'clock, we have the Lockport Union Sun and Journal. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability,